Alright, I've finished welding this with my buzz box that you saw in the first video, and I can tell you that it was a bit of a challenge welding over a gap. So if you can look past the complete and utter mess right now of this weld job, this system with a flux core in the wire spatters like nobody's business. I had a blanket that if I'd have thought of how much spatter there was, I would have looped the blanket through to be able to limit the cleanup that I have for this. Not a big deal. It's just going to take extra time before I'm willing to paint it. I found a 2000 degree paint at Menards. I don't know if that'll be local to you, but it's also used on engine parts, like a exhaust manifold that you want to paint. The challenge in welding this was if the edges get too hot, it will burn away even more. So what I did to solve that is I moved along. I let it cool. This was a spot weld process. Now you don't run a continuous bead or you're going to find out the hard way that that's a bad idea. After, say, well, let's go to the end. When that was my last spot and it cooled and I had the edges to continue to weld this way, I would strike my arc back here on the metal and then move the puddle. Let off, let it cool, and repeat the process. So what you're seeing here is a bunch of spots. I'm going to clean this up and I'm going to paint it and it'll be ready to go on the bike. Okay, as you can see, it's all cleaned up. One of the benefits going all the way back to deciding to do it on this surface on the inside was it really didn't need to look that great. You could have even left the bead on the metal. What the danger is, though, is the dingleberries. As you weld and all that spatter, you gotta knock those off. Because if you don't, and then you paint, and then they come off, well, you can guess the rest. There'll be exposed metal. So I went ahead, to show how nice it can be made. It wasn't necessary, it can't be seen. But I have used the same brush to clean all the metal off to prepare it for painting, to clean the dingleberries as well. And then I switched to a grinding wheel and ground the metal flat. So it's now ready to be painted. If you have a better welding process than I do, or you weld more often, you're going to find it easier. If you're not as good, and what I thought might happen to me as I was welding is it would start burning through real bad, and that's where I was able to come up with that, starting the bead on the metal there already was, and then drag it over and then let it rest and let it cool a little bit before you lay you put the next spot down. You can also make a patch of about the same thickness of metal. You could even use 10 snips to cut that. It'll be a little bit hard, but you could. And you could cover that up, tack it on, and weld a piece of metal on this that was rectangular shape over that. I chose to take the challenge of spot welding that close, so I didn't have to mess with the time it would take to use another piece of metal to weld on. That's it. Have a blast. Save some money.